What is going on, everybody, and welcome back. floopydonkey here, and I have your current gen franchise sliders for a realistic gameplay experience. Now, if you're on next gen, you don't want to use those, I will leave a link right here for the next gen sliders I just released about a week ago. I've had a lot of comments about current gen sliders, and I made an initial video, but I really haven't went back to update them because, you know, current gen really is not getting the love that next gen is getting as far as the gameplay is concerned. And I feel like this game plays exactly like Madden 21 did. Now, Madden 22 on on next gen is a very different experience. So if you ever get the chance to play it, then you definitely need to, because there is a different gameplay experience there, not only with the atmosphere and the momentum, but just in the way the players move and interact with each other. But first off, I kept quarterback accuracy the same, 42. Pass blocking is at 47. I've left wide receiver catching the same at 50. Run blocking is down to 10. I think running the ball is extremely easy in current gen for Madden 22. Now, fumbles are at 456, and one thing that I need to actually adjust here is actually turn this down to 44. I had these actually opposite, so that's a real life adjustment for you guys that I forgot to change. Fumbles down to 44. Pass defense reaction time is at 58. Interceptions is at 30. So I actually had a question about interceptions, and interceptions, this slider just controls the ability that your defender will actually make that a catch. It really doesn't control too much as far as pass coverage or their reaction time, because you've got a slider above and below that controls that. Pass coverage is at 66. And tackling actually needs to be bumped up, I think, a little bit more to 65. I've noticed that, especially when after playing next gen Madden, that the tackling animations on current gen are kind of missing. You know, you'll be like right on the guy and he won't make a tackle, especially if you're not controlling all your players and you're expecting the computer to make a tackle. It seems like they don't like register quickly. So with increasing this tackling, you'll increase the ability for you and your AI controlled team to make tackles. Quarterback accuracy is at 31, and this is going to give you around a 65 or 70 completion percentage for the computer, so you don't get that robotic, you know, completing 80 to 90% of their passes. Pass blocking is at 47. I'm really happy with this because it's going to be hard for you to generate pressure on the quarterback. You're going to have a good defensive line to generate that constant pressure like you usually have seen in previous Maddens. Wide receiver catching 46 to help out with the passing or completion percentage from the quarterback. So he might make a good pass, but the wide receiver might drop it. That helps out with completion percentage. Run blocking is at 50 to allow the computer to actually break some big runs. Fumbles need to be moved back down to 45. Pass defense reaction time, I actually increased this a little bit. This is at 42. Interceptions at 32. Pass coverage at 61, and tackling is at 75. I think it's a little too easy to juke the defenders, especially when they're right in front of you. And one of the things that I've noticed with current gen in relation to next gen is that with current gen, your movement is so fluid. You can turn on a dime, something that you just cannot do in next gen. They really harnessed, I think, the momentum and how quickly players can move in and out of cuts. I think that's a really good thing that Madden has done this year that isn't getting a lot of love. But because of that, if you're playing current gen, you're still kind of on that old system. So you're able to just turn on a dime and get away from the defender. And to help balance that out, I've increased the computer's tackling with this slider. I've increased field goal power percentage. Like I mentioned before, it seems like the computer does not try to max out that kick power. So when you get a kick that's 55 or plus, the computer's always going to try to hit, you know, that green threshold at the top of the kicking meter. They're never going to try to go past it to get that extra power. So I increased this to help out the computer. Field goal accuracy I've decreased to kind of help with some missed kicks in that 50+ yard range. Punt powers, I've increased the same reason that I've increased field goal power along with kickoff power. And punt accuracy, I've moved a little bit because I think, you know, kicking or punting on Madden is just too easy. Now, injuries, I've left the same. Fatigue, I've bumped up, especially with the progressive fatigue turned off in Madden, because that is completely broken in my eyes. And I just don't want the chance playing an entire franchise and then getting to the end of the season and all my players are too tired to actually compete in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl. I have turned off progressive fatigue, and I've increased fatigue by 5 so that you kind of get players rotating in and out. Minimum player speed threshold, I actually bumped up 1 just to help out so there's not as big of a parity between fast and slow players. And the last thing that I did was I removed all the penalty sliders back down to 50. I had these bumped up quite high, but it just seems like at Madden, they don't want penalties. I mean, I can crank up a lot of these to 99 and still penalties won't get called. It seems the only penalties that do get called are like roughing the passer and illegal block in the back. And they're so ticky-tack. For instance, if I have roughing the passer up to like 70, if you even graze the quarterback, a flag gets thrown. Or illegal block in the back, if the defender turns and you touch them, it's going to be called illegal block in the back. Now, that's not realistic. That's what these sliders go for. So that's why I just bumped them down to 50. You're just going to have to come to terms with the fact that there aren't going to be a lot of penalties called in the game because Madden doesn't want it. They've got it scripted to where penalties just don't get called. They think it ruins the gameplay experience. And, you know, I can see their point, but at the same time, when you're wanting a realistic experience, penalties get called in the NFL, but we're not able to get them in the game. And last but not least, for the league settings, you always ask me and I always forget, skill levels, all Madden, game style is simulation. Is there anything else on here that superstar abilities I have on? Relocation settings, I disable because it just seems like people or teams relocate way too quickly, but that's just my preference. Progressive fatigue, you need to have turned off. Practice energy, or injuries, I do leave on because again, you want to kind of replicate a real life experience. And then that's pretty much it for all this stuff. Quarter length is down to 12 minutes and I have the minimum play clock at 20. Now, some people have thought that there's too many plays in the game. And I think to counter that, all you have to do is move this minimum play clock down to 15, or you can move the quarter length to 11 and keep this at 20. And you should get around the average amount of plays in a game, which I think is around 120 to 140. Other than that, I leave everything else the same. Obviously, you want to turn off tutorials because that's an aggravating little thing that keeps popping up. And then ball hawk and heat seeker I have turned off. Switch assist I keep on the individual. Hey guys, I just wanted to let you know that I now have memberships on the channel. So if you feel like you want to continue to support me and the channel a little further than just watching the content or liking the videos, I would be much appreciated with any type of support that you can offer. But for just supporting me, I'm offering a lot of different perks for you guys and you can go look at all those. But one thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is the fact that I will create custom slider sets for you. If you become a mid or high level tier channel member, I will create these sliders specific to your gameplay. One of the things that a lot of people don't talk about is that sliders are not a one size fits all. Everybody plays games entirely differently. I might be good at running, you might be good at passing. I might be great at offense, you might be terrible at offense. So you have to adjust your sliders based on that if you want a realistic and a challenging game experience. So just because these sliders work well for me and maybe some other people, they might not work well for you. And I am your guy to make sure that you have the best experience possible in Madden. So if you feel like you're interested in that, if you feel like you want to support me and the channel, then I would love to have you a part of the community. And if not, well, I appreciate you watching the video anyways. I'll catch everybody later and I'll be coming with some more content for you guys very, very soon.